Here's a quick teaser to my new podcast with Harlan Williams called When a Stranger Calls. You can jam your whole fist into
whoa. Freak out, man.
You want me to take the hat off? I'll take it off.
That is really inappropriate.
Hello! When a stranger calls.
Hello? Oh my God, hello?
All right, everybody, this is kind of a kind of a different episode, but it'll be a fun episode, or an important episode, or an informational episode, or like an entertaining episode. We got a lot of special guests. You look like you're worried.
And I'm worried because talking about mental health sometimes gives me anxiety.
I'm a spokesperson for NOCD, which is this great app that facilitates the needs of the world. But mental health has been my kind of removing the stigma with mental health has been my little soapbox. And I figure we got a platform. And you have OCD. I have OCD. That sounds like the beginning of a song. But I want to do...
We both have stuff going on.
We're both wearing the traditional Howie Mandel Does Stuff merch, which is, I don't know how they get that, but they should.
I think Alex is working on it.
Alex,
right?
He's not here.
He's not here. Well, my brother's supposed to be working on it.
Find out how to get it. But go to HowieMandel.com and get that. Subscribe and comment. And I wanted to do a different vibe today. And something that's very near and dear to me. And I hope it's informative. I hope it's entertaining. I hope it's funny. I hope it's real. And I hope it helps. Sonny, you traditionally open up the show with a Sonny and the Black Pack. They always open up the show, and they'll usually talk about who's going to be on. Right now, we do have guests. But why don't you just start? We have guests, right? Our guest here. You here? Come here. Come in. Where's Steve? So, and we have more guests coming on too, but this is Dr. Patrick McGrath, who's the, because I want you guys to hear everything. Put on your headsets too. And Stephen Smith, the guy in the orange chair. Stephen, you cut the Stephen.
I like your Patagonias.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, the NOCD, they have merch too. But Stephen, you started NOCD, and Dr. McGrath, you are this chief clinician, right?
Chief clinical officer. Yes.
So we're going to start our show now, okay? But we always start with music. So this is Sonny and the Black Pack, entertaining and informing us what this episode is. Go ahead, Sonny.
Get your groove on right now. Watching Howie Mandel. Get your groove on right now. Watching Howie Mandel. Time for some deep talks and deep thoughts, and let's go. Putting a little hearts on the table. We got things to fix, and that's okay. Chipping it away day by day. Happy to be joined by Stephen and Patrick, Sam and Christy. We talking that real shit. Sometimes your mind feels like an enigma. First step, removing the stigma. Get your groove on right now. Watching Howie Mandel. Dust up. Jackelyn Shultz.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing stuff. We're going to be helping you with your stuff. We're going to tell you where you can get your stuff taken care of. And to start off the show, these are the guys that are doing the real stuff, the heroic stuff, the amazing stuff. And I'm not just saying that because... That's it. Isn't that a good song?
That's great.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. You know, I got to say that, listen, I'm going to be totally upfront. I am a paid spokesman for NOCD. And I just did, they have a podcast too, which you'll check out. We'll put a link to wherever you get your podcast so you can listen to their podcast too. But, and I said this on your podcast and I'm saying it on mine. Regardless of being a paid spokesperson for NOCD. This is truly something that I believe in, and it is truly something that I have experienced daily. And you'll meet some of the people that I've talked to, and some of the people that I've talked to that have actually used this service and are in a better place. What are you laughing at? Yes. Yes, that have used this service and are in a better place because of it. And it's truly, a lot of times it's really nice to have somebody sponsor or to pay you to do something, and then you can even use it. But this is truly, even if I was not getting paid, which is not a good negotiation if my agent is watching, I truly would believe in this and have it here. And I feel like it's probably one of the most underserved, biggest issues in our world today.
In all honesty, before you even became a spokesperson, I've been going to therapy for a long time, since I was way younger, and my therapist told me about and recommended NOCD, and that's how we found out about you before you ever became a spokesperson. Oh, wow. So this is like a legit us coming to you guys before you ever came to us. Yeah.
So just to introduce these guys here, you can get the two shots so they can see who it is. Steven Smith is the founder of NOCD, who also has OCD, and on his left is the chief officer. What made you do this, Steve?
Personal experience. So I went through the ringer with OCD, and it onset very suddenly in a severe way. But I had something I've always noticed over the course of my life. But when I was in college, in particular, it really onset severely.
Well, describe that?
Sure. So basically, I went home for summer break after my sophomore year, and I went home to train for football. I was playing football at a small school down in Texas, and it had quite a bit of stress. And all of a sudden, one day, I started having the severe taboo intrusive thoughts, or the taboo intrusive thoughts with severe anxiety that came from it, not knowing what was going on.
What is taboo intrusive thoughts?
So, intrusive thoughts that were, I would say, polar opposite to my core values and character. There are fears that I knew were, weren't going to come true, like it was illogical, but at the same time, I was crippled by them. I think you said it best too, even just, about an hour ago or so on the podcast, which is you kind of know that what's going on isn't necessarily real, but you still have that severe response or that challenging response. So I started having that. It was like a sticky thought. I couldn't, get out of my head no matter how hard I tried to make it stop. And eventually would do different actions to try to disprove the fear, right? And those actions, which I learned after the fact, were compulsions. And would spend just hours and hours of day just trying to make these fears go away.
Can you, and if you don't want to, I don't have to, but you want to. Oh.
I can go a little into it in terms of think of what to you would be the worst thing in the world. So maybe if you think, I would never want to think of my parents naked. Well, OCD is going to go, oh, well, there's your parents and they might be naked, so don't look at them. So you're going to walk around the house staring at the floor the entire time because that to you would be so taboo to think of. Or consider, if you're a really religious person, the most blasphemous thought that you could possibly have. And then OCD is going to say, now don't think about that, which is kind of the pink elephant effect. Once I tell you not to think of a pink elephant, you're going to think of it. So now you're going to do whatever you can mentally or physically to try to neutralize that, because if you don't, you think that horrible, awful, bad thing will happen to you.
Yeah. So what I learned from being with, I personally, and I think I've been open about this, but I don't remember not suffering from this. And for me, I've had intrusive thoughts, fears, rituals, so much so that it's so fucking noisy that I can't move on, and I've missed things. And she was raised by me. I'm sure that the reason that she has it is because of me, whether it's genetically or because that was the environment that I brought you up in. But and I've done like horrible things where, getting angry and just stopping our life. I think you once touched me with your foot in the car on the way to the airport. We were going to on vacation, and her foot touched my pants because she crossed her legs, and I made them I think we almost missed a flight, but I made them turn the car around and went home and changed my pants, which I realize is ridiculous, but I can't get past that. I can't, even the more I realize that it's ridiculous, the more I'm intellectualize it's crazy. It just makes it harder to kind of realize that this is how I'm acting, and I can't control how I'm acting, and I can't control my compulsion, and I can't, and it stops your life.
Totally. That's what I experienced too, and which was ultimately what caused me to not know where to go to get help, right? And so I was misdiagnosed 6 or 7 times, and then eventually hit that rock bottom point where I was just desperate, searching online for different solutions, and saw someone else out there who was going through literally the same exact experience that I was, and they could fill in the same sentences that I would fill in, right, if I was to describe my symptoms. And they said what I'm going through is OCD. And that's when the light bulb went off. I was like, wait a second here, there's a name for this. Now where do I go get help? And that's where there was a series of other barriers to getting the actual help that was evidence-based and needed. And so eventually, though, I was able to finally get to the help. It was super challenging to pay for it, given it was so expensive. It was also, I think my therapist had a 7-month wait list at the time when I wanted to get help, but eventually got off the wait list, and I saw her, and she diagnosed me and then treated me, and fortunately was able to regain my life, went back to school, came out here to LA to a small liberal arts school in Claremont, California, and finished up my degree, finished up playing football. And I was like, this is an operational issue. It's really not a clinical issue, given how effective you can actually, or given how much better you can get by accessing effective treatment. We just need to get more people identified so they can understand what this is really like you were describing, and then we can need to get them to this effective treatment. Well, if it's a stigmatizing issue you don't want to talk about, then we need to build a better system to get people, not necessarily to fit into the current the current healthcare system, but we need to bring the healthcare system to them. And that's what we've effectively have tried to do at NOCD.
And what I learned from working with you guys is the stats are staggering. You know, the stats are, it's 1 out of 40 people suffer that. Did you know that? 1 out of 40?
Suffer from OCD?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And that's what they have discovered. I can only imagine that's
after being diagnosed. There's so many, probably more people that have OCD than just the 1 out of 40.
That either aren't diagnosed or are misdiagnosed. Because what I have learned as somebody who is in therapy for it is that the therapy is, and you can answer to this more, Patrick, is that the therapy is specific. So you can go to a general therapist or psychiatrist and you could be mistreated, right?
Yeah, because OCD would love to talk about OCD. So a general talk therapy is going to just be talking about things and going down rabbit holes that aren't going to solve things. Effective treatment is called exposure and response prevention therapy, and it involves 2 things: purposely exposing people to the thoughts, the images, and the urges, and the elimination of the compulsions. The problem is the compulsion. If compulsions worked, people with OCD would be healthiest people we'd ever met due to all of the compulsions that they're doing. And yet what they find is that the more compulsions they do, the worse they actually feel.
So the beauty of this, and I'm not selling it, I'm just telling you, I think that the issue for me personally, and even for you, Jackie, and for people out there, is that you don't know who to turn to. And if you are brave enough to turn to somebody, and mental health is always a stigma, and even if it's a loved one, but who eventually sends you toward a caregiver, they don't know what to do. Number one, and you said accessibility and affordability, and what you were able to do, and that's why I wanted to have you here today, is you were able to come up with a solution where it's as far as anybody's cell phone. You know, you can just download this app and get yourself an appointment with somebody you can connect with somebody online and have that person either diagnose or start a program that can make you able to cope in this world.
Can I tell you why my therapist told me to go to you guys?
Sure.
Because you guys have flexibility. Usually with therapy, it's like you have a set time of going there and talking about whatever it is. But I had so many things come up throughout the week, throughout the day, when you're dealing with OCD, when you're dealing with anxiety or intrusive thoughts. There's so many different instances that come up in that moment that you need to figure out how to deal with. And you guys give the flexibility to be able to have someone to help you in those moments instead of waiting 2 weeks from now when you have
Well, he
an
said
appointment.
7 months.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying even if you have a therapist and you know your appointment is 2 weeks from now, you have that ability to go on your phone and have that resource ready for you to help you out in those moments. And I think that was so important to me, and that's why it was recommended to me.
I'm so happy that it was something that you valued and we could be there in that way. So it really means a lot to hear that.
How does it make you feel that, you're saving lives? Your own distress has turned into an amazingly accessible, affordable tool to actually save lives.
Yeah. It's I'll tell you, it's something that kind of has sunk in over time, and I think it's also a great testament to what our team has done. Like, there are a lot of people at NOCD who have either A, like Patrick, have been treating it for decades, or B, have also personally experienced what it's like to go through this, and are hoping to build, a better system for not just a small percentage of the folks with OCD, but the entire population worldwide. And I think it's really great to see how people are getting better and see the actual outcomes. Like, what personally helps me is just whenever it's a challenging day, of course, as you go and things happen throughout the day, you go and you see what people are actually experiencing. And some people are able to regain their life and give very concrete examples of how. Like, hey, I was the first time I was able to hold my child in 5 years. I mean, thinking things like that. And so I really appreciate just the opportunity that we've had to work with you and also to be in a situation like we are right now here today to just talk about this issue. And
I just think it's important, and I also think it's important to say that, as I was talking to the doctor earlier today, there is no cure.
Right.
But I think that life is, shit happens in everybody's life. Right. And we all need, in order to go through life, we need coping skills. And this is a prevalent issue, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. A lot of people have it. You don't know you have it. You might know you have it. I promise you know somebody or are connected to somebody who has it, who is struggling and doesn't identify it and doesn't know it. But here's what there is a solution. There are coping skills, and it's not one answer. It's not one pill, it's exposure therapy, it's medication, it's talking, it's whatever you need to get through. And I think in life, we all need coping skills. Yeah. And this is, I feel pretty lucky that I have a little bit of a platform that I can kind of shout about it. And if one person is watching or listening and kind of says, hey, me too, or my mom is like that, or whatever, and let's just try this, that's a good thing. Sonny, when I told you that they were coming on, you said you don't have OCD, but you were...
Well, yeah, when you first asked me, my immediate answer was no. I said, oh, no, I don't. But then I started listening, and I was listening to some of the conversations that you were having with the doctors. And I actually started to remember something that happened in my past, and I never really thought of it as OCD. But that's because my perception of what OCD is, I think, is very not clear. But when I was a kid, till about 11 years old, I used to do this weird, crazy thing that I didn't really know what was happening. I just did it. But when I was sleeping, or when I would go to bed, or I would lay down, from the very early age as an infant, I would take my head and I would bang it against my pillow. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's considered OCD or not, but I would do it incessantly every time that I would lay down. I did it so much that I would do it into my sleep while I was sleeping, all the way to, for hours and hours on end. I would drive my parents nuts. My dad, he tried to stop me in every way that he could, but it never went away. I didn't take it as OCD. I don't know, maybe it's not OCD, but I'm very curious. Is that something that is considered OCD or no?
It could be. I'd be interested what your fear was if you didn't do it, what you thought might have happened if you didn't do it.
I didn't feel fear. I just felt comfort. I felt so good when I did. I felt like I was being hugged. And I didn't feel a fear that if I didn't do it, that there was any kind of repercussions or anything bad would happen. I felt really peaceful.
And sometimes there's self-stimulating behaviors that people do as well. And there's even endorphin rushes that people can get out of slight pain or something. And that might have also been something that was going on. So it'd be interesting to kind of talk that through and see exactly what it would have been.
But it's not always, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's hard for some people to get diagnosed because there's this view of what OCD is or what it's supposed to look like, and the way it manifests is actually different for a lot of different patients. For me personally, I did not get diagnosed with OCD until way later, even though he has been diagnosed, because I thought, I see him and his is specifically germs, like specifically germ related.
That's the one I'm outwardly verbal about.
Okay. Well, the one that I've seen the most
Right.
with you. And some other people I've seen, different rituals they have to do over and over again. And mine has manifested in different ways throughout my life and completely changes from time to time. And I actually did not get diagnosed until during COVID, when it manifested in the same way as his, and I was triggered by germs. But before that, I would have so many different intrusive thoughts that at one point they thought it was postpartum anxiety because of the intrusive thoughts I got regarding my kids, where I wouldn't even take them for a walk around a lake because I had all these intrusive thoughts. But it's so different, and it manifests differently, and it changes throughout my lifetime. And I don't think people realize that that's a possibility.
I know that was a big piece for you because you have even said you thought OCD was either straightening things or a personality quirk.
Right.
That's all that it was.
Right.
And it's so much, absolutely so much more than that. There's over a dozen subtypes of OCD, from existential to harm to sexual identity and orientation to existential issues. It's amazing the ways that OCD will take it. Just take the thing that's the most important thing for you. So at one point, your children, right?
Yeah.
And what could you do? Well, you could throw them in the lake. Well, geez, better never go near a lake then, just to make sure that doesn't happen, right? OCD attacks what you love.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing that bothers me is that it has become, and I've talked about this, part of the vernacular today, and especially because I'm kind of a face of OCD. People will come up to me and go, I got a little bit of the OCD. And I'm thinking, well, you probably don't, because people who are neat or people who don't like germs or people who are persnickety are using that title as, when somebody tells me that, I go, I hope you don't. Right. I'm not here to diagnose you, but the truth is they say it in a kind of a light, I'm like you. I get so upset when somebody coughs on me. Well, I don't know the difference between somebody who calls themselves neat freaks call themselves OCD-ish, but does it stop your life? Do those thoughts become so noisy and scream at you that you can't move on for another second? Where you would, we've also talked about, somebody like Howard Hughes ended up in his room naked, peeing into a bottle, not socializing again, to people who have actually ended their own lives. It's got to drive you that hard to be at least recognized as OCD, not somebody who's feels happier if everything in their room is in order. That's a big difference, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that it's important really too, because when someone with OCD hears, oh, I have a little OCD too, it kind of just pulls the rug out from under them. It's like, you really don't have a problem then, because don't we all just have that? And if that's the case, why can't you just deal with it the way that everybody else does?
It's the one healthcare condition which almost everyone recognizes and almost everyone misunderstands. I think that's the for one of the big kind of epiphanies that we've had as we've just been working on this for almost the past decade now. It's people everywhere think they know what OCD is like, but they misunderstand it often, and they don't misunderstand it with malintent. It's just simply an issue with perception, which means it actually can be changed. Like, we could change that, because if you look at the past, there are so many terms that people would just casually use, not realizing that they're offensive or not realizing that they're misusing it. And I think that's probably one of the core opportunities that we still have to do is figure out a way to shift perception about just the term OCD. When someone hears it, they're like, oh, instead of personality quirk, instead of just washing your hands to be specifically clean or what have you, it's a condition that is crippling. It needs to be associated with what it does to people. And I think if people realize that, then they would essentially want to partake in a movement to actually, change the way in which people with OCD live, right? And the benefit is you can actually get better. So,
as much as it's prevalent, I think our society, there's a big problem in society toward our view of mental health. It's kind of interesting. My buddy Byron Allen kind of told me a quick little, he gave me an analogy. The average person right now, if they were walking down a street and saw a dog lying on the ground without any tag on, and it had, or it was bleeding, or maybe even a human being who was lying there bleeding, they might call 911 and they might pick that person up and get them help, or they'll pick up the dog and take it to a shelter. If somebody is just standing there screaming at a wall, you ignore it. Right. Well, why are we ignoring a mental health? Why is that not an injury? Why is that not something that needs to be taken care of? I don't know that that's OCD, but I'm just saying that kind of bleeds into even in our own, like I didn't think I had something that could or should or would be taken care of, yet my whole life, it was an incredible crutch. So I think the fact that you are bringing, noise and solution to something that will make our lives and others around these, because I will tell you that, not only did my OCD affect me, it affects my children, my wife, the people at work, the people that come in contact with me. I had to learn, as I spoke to you, doctor, before, my therapist first said, because I was always trying to control everything around me. Don't touch this, don't touch that. I had to figure out, I was trying to make everybody make my world comfortable. And she said to me, they don't have to live in your world. You have to figure out how to live in theirs, and how do you cope in that world? Because there's going to be crap happening around you all the time.
Totally. I also personally have had numerous situations where people at work, whether at home, will come to me and they'll just see kind of a blank look on my face. Just I'm there in the room, but I'm really not focused on what's going on. I'm just in my head trying to decipher what that last intrusive thought meant, or I'm just, is not quote unquote present. And I think that, to your point, we have to adapt to the world in which we're in. I also think that it'll be easier to do that if there's better awareness for what this is like, because if people could understand just like analogously what it's like to suffer with OCD, then I think they'll eventually also maybe in some ways create a system that allows for OCD to be effectively treated. I think because that's something that we've seen is it has to go from both ends. That's what I'm just basically saying. Like, it has to be, one, the person with OCD willing to adapt, but at the same time is we need to give
world.
Exactly.
Well, I always say this, and it's ad nauseum. I wish we would take care of our mental health the way we take care of our dental health.
Totally.
We all go to the dentist at least once a year. Most people go at least once a year. They get checkups, they get cleanings, but there isn't anything in place in our world where once a year, just get a mental checkup, like talk to somebody, who knows and could, and I think that would solve a lot of problems for everybody's individual lives and for the world, That's what so I can't thank you enough.
Wait, have they found out yet what causes OCD? Is it a genetic factor? Is it a learned behavior? Why is it more prevalent now than it used to be?
So there's a few things. A, we're better at diagnosing and recognizing. The stigma of mental health is decreasing. It's still there, but decreasing. And in terms of where it's coming from, it's a mix, right? We call it a diathesis stress model. You have a genetic component, but you need the right stressors at the right times to kick it off as well, too. You may have a high genetic predisposition, but never the right stressor at the right time. You may have a low genetic predisposition, but a huge stressor that could kick it off, and then anywhere else in the middle as well. So
I think he's saying I'm the stressor.
It was you.
The stressor is named Howie.
So how do I make sure my kids don't have it?
Well, for you, the recognition, right, of things and really keeping an eye out. If you see certain behaviors that you're concerned about, there's nothing better to me than earliest intervention possible.
Cool. Okay.
Do you have to go home?
No. No, I think the lesson is I'll just stay away. I'll stay here.
I can't thank you guys enough for being here. Stick around in there and listen. I have a couple of friends that some people may know and have watched that also deal with it that I want to talk to. And if they have a question, you can probably answer it on that mic now. But before you leave, I said to Sonny, who is Sonny and the Black Pack, they're a great band. And I said, you know, this part of a campaign for people to hear about things and know about things. Is there a NOCD jingle? And he said, what did you say to me?
I mean, immediately I said yes. I mean, we could do something for sure. And the honest truth is we actually started working on something, and we have an original song, but it's not ready. It's just not done. When I started writing,
I didn't plan this.
Well, that's true. I mean, we had an original song, and I wanted to get it done, but after I started writing it, I realized I was relating to it way too much, and it became too important to me to just rush out. So we ended up doing an audible, and we actually prepared another song that also we felt like fit this environment very much. And it's a canvas, a cover, if you will, and it's very different than the original version. But when we started doing it, we felt like it really embraced everything I've been researching and reading and talking to people about with OCD. And so we have something else for you today. And my hopes is one day when we finish the other song, which we really are excited about, we could show that to you. But for now, I think this might do.
Sonny and the Black Pack.
Hey, don't write yourself off yet. It's only in your head you feel left out or looked down on. Just try your best, everything you can. Don't worry what they tell themselves when you're away. Yourself up yet. Only in your head you feel left out or looked down on. Try your best, everything you can. Don't worry what they tell themselves. You're away. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything and everything will be just fine. Everything and everything will be alright. Hey, you know you're all the same. Know you're doing better on your own. Don't buy in. Live right now. Be yourself. Doesn't matter, it's good enough. Someone else. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything and everything will be just fine. Everything and everything will be alright. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything and everything will be just fine. Everything and everything will be alright. Don't write yourself off yet. Only in your head you feel left out or looked down on. Do your best, everything you can. Don't worry what the bitter hearts are gonna do.
Wow.
That's so pretty.
That was so beautiful. And what an homage to anybody who's suffering with a mental health problem, and specifically OCD. You feel alone. And, don't worry. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes people like Patrick and Stephen to come up with solutions to make my life is better because of people like you. And millions of people's lives will continue to be better because of people like you. And Sonny and the Black Pack, you guys are magic. You really are. We're going to continue with, I'm going to bring on some special guests, some of which you know. And we're going to continue the talk on mental health and OCD. So thank you guys for being here.
Thank you so
And
much
we'll
for
bring
having
in
us.
our next guest.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. All right. Today's episode is being sponsored by NOCD, NOCD, which is an app that I believe in that is doing great things. Okay.
That I personally use.
Yeah. NOCD offers effective and affordable and convenient specialized therapy virtually for people with OCD. So you don't have to go someplace. You can download this app, make an appointment, and talk to an expert right there at NOCD. Every therapist is an OCD specialist, which is important because a lot of people are misdiagnosed, or even if they're diagnosed, they're not going to an OCD expert. NOCD therapists understand intrusive thoughts and are trained to help people overcome them. NOCD accept all the major insurance plans and offers 24/7 support between sessions. Okay? So, and that's what's amazing. People misinterpret what OCD is. A lot of people will come up to me and go, and I'm sure you have the same thing, where they go, oh, I have a little bit of that. And
I have a little bit of neurosis. I deal with that a little bit too. I get it.
And they're probably just neat freaks, or they don't want to be germ fed, or whatever it is. It's not that. I promise you, as two people here that suffer from it, it is debilitating. It is real. It is misperceived by so many. But I think it's 1 out of 70 people actually have this. So if you don't have it, you know somebody that does, and now everybody is going to have access. OCD is pretty serious. It's a chronic condition where individuals experience unwanted thoughts that cause extreme distress. And in order to reduce this distress, the individual engages in a compulsion, and it could be as simple as washing until you can't stop washing, or having a ritual where you got to tap things 3 times, but it actually stops your life.
So if you can benefit from NOCD, or you know someone who can, to learn more about getting started with therapy at NOCD, go to nocd.com/Howie and schedule a free 15-minute call with their team. That's nocd.com/Howie to learn more and book a free 15-minute call.
There you go. Now back to the show. So now joining us, that song was great. What? Pardon me? Yeah, put them on. Put them on. Wait, well, just.
If you want. Unless you have an aversion to headphones.
Just trying to find the right.
Oh my God.
This way?
Invite.
There's an L and an
with-
R on them.
I don't see that.
Okay.
Wire is the left ear.
The wire's the
Doesn't
left.
matter.
The,
The next
wire's the
20
left.
minutes, we'll have 2 women with OCD trying to
Fidgeting.
figure out how to
got
put
it.
on headsets.
I had to do it till it felt right.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
It's
It is
perfect.
now.
Thank you.
So here joining us, we have, if you watch H3 and that, you will know Sam Temple. Sam Temple is a lovely young lady who works with Ethan Klein and Teddy Fresh, and she builds everything you see in the background when they sell out. When you've seen this, if you saw them at the Greek Theater, and the Coliseum, she built that.
She staples a lot.
Usually during the OCD. The reason you're a guest today is not only you suffer from OCD, but we don't want you stapling or drilling during this podcast. So
I can bring it in.
you
Should I
can bring it in. And Christy Quinn is a very funny lady who I just met the other night. She hosted a show. I drop in pretty often at the Ice House in Pasadena, and she was hosting the show. And I didn't know you. You're very funny.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. And then you came up. You kind of scared me, to be honest with you. You did, because I finished my set, or she finished her set, and she came up to me, and that we have this like green room area, and Christy goes, "Can I show you something?"
I did.
Yeah, you did. And
That's creepy.
It's less creepy, I think, with a female approaching a woman, approaching a guy and saying that, than like, I can't imagine. I could never do that to either of you. Like, if I didn't know you and I came up and said, "You're Christy, right? Come here, I want to show you something."
They would choose the bear. They would choose the bear, not you.
The bear?
You haven't heard that?
No, what is that?
Would you rather be alone in the woods with a bear or with a man? And all women choose a bear?
Is that true?
Yeah.
Do you know that, Sam?
I've never heard that, but I agree.
Yeah.
Christy, did you
I don't
ever?
know about all
See?
that.
Really? It's a
So-
TikTok. I
No.
guess it's
No.
my algorithm.
You're alone. You're
I'm
alone.
in this algorithm.
People would rather be alone in the forest with a bear than a man.
man.
Is that, well, these are two single ladies. Are you single? I don't know.
No, I'm not.
Oh, are you married?
No,
But
not very.
you said, would you rather be alone? Let's ask them. Would you rather be alone in the woods with a man or a bear?
With a random man or a bear.
A bear.
Well, I would
bear,
imagine the
see?
bear's also random. It's not a specific. It's
No,
not
but
your
I'm
bear.
saying-
It's
I'm
not your
saying not
cousin's. Your cousin's bear.
Not like your boyfriend. It has to be a random dude that
So
you
it
don't
could be
know.
any random dude. I'm going the dude.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
that's scary.
I know how to scare off the bears. There's tactics.
Yeah, you're supposed to stand really still, right? Well, if you're with a random guy, you're supposed to do that. That's what Bill Cosby said.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's too soon? I'm sorry. Is that too soon? No. So both of you, we'll start with you, Sam. I didn't know that you had OCD. I just started talking to you when you were here. And you have OCD, and I know that your podcast, Ethan's podcast, is also sponsored by NOCD.
Yes.
So do you want to talk about your history with this?
Sure. So I was not actually formally diagnosed until about 2020. I went to my psychiatrist and kind of explained what was going on because I had been in talk therapy my whole life, never getting better. And I had always been told, "Oh, you just have really bad anxiety, really bad anxiety." That was all I ever heard. So when I went to my psychiatrist, finally, I had never been to a psychiatrist before at this point. And she was like, "This doesn't sound like anxiety. This sounds like you may potentially have OCD." And so she referred me out to NOCD, which my insurance covered, which thank God. And pretty much on my first evaluation, I was told I had like textbook OCD.
What was your, if you don't mind sharing?
Sure.
Yeah, just-
So at the time, it was just severe health anxiety with my heart rate. So I would constantly be checking my pulse. It like my main compulsion was just constantly like feeling my neck, feeling my. You too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is she triggering you right now? We're all just, and the people listening at home are just, yes.
Yeah, so it just made me very avoidant. I wouldn't want to leave the house. I wouldn't do anything. I used to exercise a lot. I stopped exercising. I just didn't want to do anything that would trigger my heart rate to go up. No caffeine, no alcohol, like nothing. So, yeah, it just made me extremely avoidant. And NOCD was able to identify that right away.
Wow. And you feel really, now that you're managing it, but it is like for me, it doesn't go away.
No.
It's still there. And then Christy did show me something. Can I show, you'll give them the picture. We'll put it up.
Yeah.
You know, she goes, "Look at this picture." And we'll give you the picture later that you can put up. But it's a picture, an unidentifiable. I don't know what you were showing me, but you were showing me this woman in a hospital bed, with oxygen on. Mm-hmm. What is it a picture of?
So it was me. So I used to drink to soothe the OCD symptoms. I had OCD starting in grade school, and I never knew what it was. And I remember I went to a Catholic grade school, and we had this ceremony where we crown Mary. It's like this religious ceremony, and I was picked to do it. And when I went to go up to crown her, it was in front of tons of people. And of course I have anxiety too, because it's a form of that. As I was going up to crown Mary, I kept getting all of these images in my head of like Jesus being naked and stuff, like intrusive thoughts. And it's like really scared me. And I kept thinking, am I going to go to hell? And it just kept happening after that. Just these horrible, horrible intrusive thoughts and counting and ticking. I used to have this eye twitch that I later found out was because of OCD, and I used to make weird faces until it felt right. So everyone made fun of me and asked if I had Tourette's. And, I used to sweat through all my clothes. I could only wear black for years because I would have so much panic. And then that mixed with the OCD was insane. And, I know your name has 11 letters in it. I count people's names. I count everything.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everything I see, I count. It'll take me like 4 hours to do laundry because I'll count the tags, made in China, made in China, made in China, until it feels right. And it's been a horror nightmare.
So you ended up, what is the hospital story?
Yeah. So I drank to make the symptoms go away, which obviously wasn't smart. And I like sharing this because for me, I want to let other people know, like, don't do that. Get the right help. Because when I drank, it made it go away, but then I turned into a full-blown alcoholic and I couldn't stop. And unfortunately, over the years, as it got worse, when I tried to stop drinking, I had 2 grand mal seizures. I flatlined and had it after the first one, and then I had a second one. And I woke up in the hospital and I lost my memory for weeks. I didn't know where I lived, where I was, anything. So after that, I decided that was it. I'm sober the 24th of this month for 6 years.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
When did you get diagnosed with OCD? Or have you been?
I have been, yeah. I think it was around high school when I was diagnosed. So they said...
and there was no help for you? There was no... Now that you were diagnosed, they weren't able to give you the proper therapy?
They gave me medication, and I've also been in ERP therapy, exposure therapy, which did help a lot because we'd make like lists, and she'd say like, what are the hardest things for you to do or think about? And then we'd work our way through that. Or there would be like unconventional things she'd do where she'd have me like lick my shoe because I had fear of like some kind of germ. I know.
Sounds...
And I was like, are you sure we should do this? But
Steven,
yeah.
the doctor is still in the house. But, licking a shoe, is that something that you would do?
It's not mandatory. We don't make anybody do it. But I will say I have done it. I have done it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, that sounds terrible, but the truth of the matter is that when you do something like that, that's exposure therapy, the absolute worst thought that you could possibly have. Right. If you're able to face it and survive it, is that the thought behind that?
You want to build up to it. We do it gradually. We build a hierarchy. We don't just throw people in the deep end of the pool. You want to start really, really low and build to things.
Well, that's what you were saying. There was a list, right, of things that you were like the least scared of, but still wanted to avoid.
Where are you from?
Chicago.
And you're from Georgia?
Yeah.
So where you guys were growing up, was it hard to obtain access to professionals to help you?
Yeah, I would say, I don't know, maybe I feel like this is true, but in the South, I feel like mental health is a little more stigmatized than the rest of the country. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, I grew up with parents being like, put your phone down, go outside, just go outside. You're anxious, just go do something. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no amount of going outside is going to cure my disorder.
Right.
And in Chicago, you didn't have access?
I did have some therapists, but I feel like the ones that I had weren't specialized in OCD, so that they didn't fully really comprehend what I was going through, even though I told them. So that was hard for me.
So that's the thing, and that's the
Yeah.
thing that I was talking to the doctor about and Steve about and that's what happened to Steve, is that even when you identify that you have a problem, even when you know there is an issue, and whether that issue is just your anxiety and your inability to function comfortably, when you go talk to somebody, we think that if you go talk to a psychiatrist or you go talk to a therapist, they have the answer. Even they have not identified in that community that they are not the expert in that. It's kind of like you go to your family doctor and you have you have an orthopedic problem. They have to refer you to an orthopedic person or a gastro, and you have to be an expert. There is an expertise that is specifically OCD. I find that the community doesn't, even the psychiatric community and therapeutic community doesn't identify it themselves and send you to the right thing. Steve, is that a problem?
That's exactly it. I mean, we see it all the time. It takes, they say, 14 to 17 years for someone to get access to evidence-based treatment with OCD. And when you realize what you're going through as a name, OCD, it often even takes longer. I mean, so for instance, someone may suffer for a decade, and then they may go to see a therapist that when they finally decide to seek help, and then they suffer for continuously after, given the fact that the therapist isn't specialized in OCD. So it's the research supports that.
I have a question.
I have a question. Jeremy, when Steven's talking, don't stare directly into the camera.
That's a statement.
Jeremy, that was you. Yeah, Jeremy.
My question is, though, can someone come to NOCD that hasn't been diagnosed yet, but they think that they may have some of the symptoms, and they want to find out from an expert if that is their diagnosis?
100%. That's absolutely what we can do.
Okay.
So, and the way they do it is they make an appointment. They see somebody face to face on the app who has to talk to them. It's not like a questionnaire. It's not like, it has to be diagnosed by a professional. Yeah. So both of you were misdiagnosed for years, right?
Yes.
So what was the turning point? When did you get how did that come to be?
I just personally noticed that I couldn't stop this compulsion. Like, I kept checking my pulse, and I was like, people with normal anxiety about health aren't doing this all the time. I just noticed the frequency and severity of distress that my thoughts were causing was out of control.
But you were at a therapist or psychiatrist who wasn't helping?
Well, no, I was referred to NOCD from my psychiatrist, but previously I had been just in talk therapy my whole life and wondering why my severe anxiety wasn't getting better at all. And it wasn't severe. It's not just severe anxiety. It's OCD.
Right. And people don't understand that. Does that frustrate you guys like it frustrates me?
Yes.
Yes.
I had one time, I started at comedy at Flappers Comedy Club, and I remember I was telling people about my OCD. And I was telling them how I count everything. And I feel like sometimes people don't believe you for some reason. And I was telling one of the girls that I count everything. And she goes, oh, well, how many letters is in Flappers Comedy Club? And I go, 18. And she was like, oh, like, never mind. Like,
do you use it in your act? Do you talk about OCD in your act?
I have. Yeah.
So I do too, and it's very much about who I am, and it's part of my act, but it's a double-edged sword because when we make fun of it or add humor to it, or it's part of, just our normal, I think that people don't understand the seriousness. And that's why we wanted to do this episode, because this episode was not so much promoting an app, but to tell people how our lives are truly affected and how important it is to kind of identify this and how prevalent it is, regardless of your gender, your age, where you come from. And as I learned, did you know it was 1 out of 40?
That's crazy.
I read that.
Yeah.
I think somewhere from you. Yeah.
Well, I wrote it down on a piece of paper and handed it to you.
You and your notes.
Yeah.
Don't make fun of my little OCD. I make notes.
So do I.
What has been the most harrowing issue that each of you have had with OCD? What has been? Can you tell? Well, you ended up in a hospital. Yeah.
For me personally, before I knew really how to cope, I struggled with Xanax addiction from just not knowing what to do, and just trying, because obviously I'm being misdiagnosed with anxiety. And so I'm thinking these horrible things over and over to the point where it's like I wake up, I have to take a Xanax to even like start my day. I just have to constantly just numb everything because I can't deal with this every day.
So did you have to go to addiction prevention?
No, I was able to sort of taper myself off, but it took years. It took a really long time. I had been prescribed Xanax since I was 15, which I feel like is extremely young to be starting Xanax. But I was able to eventually wean myself. I mean, it took years. It took a really long time. And then I found that I got relief for anxiety attacks with beta blockers like after that. And now I'm not on anything because I started exposure therapy, and it's just completely, I'm very fortunate and lucky to have gotten over that point of time, like with
exposure therapy for somebody whose main trigger is raising your heartbeat. What is exposure therapy? Is that like going on a
working out? Wow. Working out was really helpful for me because I was able to regain trust in my body again by just saying like, hey, you can go work out and your heart rate can rise and you're okay. It's like, okay, if this happens. And you can watch a scary movie. You can get scared. You can be surprised. You can like experience these emotions, and it's safe. It's safe to do that because I was just so severely limiting, like any sort of feeling. I was just trying to stay neutral all the time.
You're able to stay off, Christy. You're staying off the alcohol, and congratulations to you
Thank
on
you.
that. But are you still? Are you? And you've done exposure therapy, obviously, also, and you continue therapy. Yeah, good for you.
Helps.
Yeah, it does. I think it helps the fact that you guys would even show up and talk about it. And it's such a, between all of us and everybody here, it's kind of a very diverse kind of replication of everybody. Well, as I sit in a room with 4 white people.
Super diverse, Dad.
Yeah.
This room is super diverse.
Wait a minute, I'm not black? I had no idea. I don't watch the show, so I didn't know. I thought I was black. But this has been an amazing, I can't thank you enough, and it's brave and wonderful and and important that you would even show up and talk about this. If you have any questions.
What? Why are you looking at me? They can write them in the comments.
Yeah, but nobody's going to answer them.
I answer them.
Oh, you'll answer?
Oh, maybe they will. Would you answer
any questions about OCD or what kind of help? That's NOCD.com, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they could put them in the comments.
And I'm telling you, even if it's not for you, if it's somebody that you know, somebody that you met, it's really good. The more we can inform people and the more we can remove the stigma of mental health, I think this will be a better place, a safer place, a more productive place.
I also think just learning about it in general, even if you don't think that you have OCD or you don't personally know someone with OCD, if you are aware of how it affects them, just to live in a society where there are people that are triggered and are affected by OCD, it's good to know and understand.
I agree with you 100%. As Stephen said, that it takes 17 years for somebody from the time they go for help to the average person. It takes 17 years to even be diagnosed or to identify it. And I think that's because most of us, including myself, my whole life, are ignorant of what it is.
But how many people are offended by you not shaking their
Even
hand?
today.
Yeah.
Because it becomes about them,
Yeah.
What are you saying? I'm dirty?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I am. You are filthy. Filthy people. But I got to cope with that. That's not my problem because you're a pigsty. Is that wrong, doctor, that I think of them as pigsties?
As a sponsor, you can think anything you want, Howie. We appreciate it.
No, I want you to be honest with me that the world is and also
They're out there licking shoes.
Yeah.
Did you have to do that more than once?
A few times.
Oh my gosh! Clean shoes? Like new
No,
shoes?
they were dirty.
Soles or tops?
Soles. Wow. I know.
Wow.
That is
Fucking
foul.
disgusting.
I know. I almost ran away, but I did it.
Wow.
And remember, we work up to that, right?
Yeah.
People in the deep end of the pool.
Exactly.
Yeah, was that like a level 9 or
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
Like,
How long have you been with your boyfriend?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
I can get inappropriate right now, but I
She's had
won't.
to look other things before the
Well,
shoes.
I would just use that if I was her boyfriend. What do you mean, no?
Yeah.
You put a shoe in your mouth.
Oh my God.
This is better than licking a shoe.
Yeah. This is exposure therapy right here.
Or you go home and go, honey, why do you have laces tied around your penis? It's
Yeah. What's this about?
not my penis. This is a loafer. And on that note,
That's how you want to end?
I don't know. Subscribe. It's a happy ending, isn't it?
For some.
Yes.
For some.
What?
For some people. Not everyone.
Why do you have to bring us down?
Okay.
Tell people to subscribe and to comment. And if you need help or you know somebody that needs help, the NOCD is the place that has been heroic and necessary and is growing and is available to everyone and is affordable for everyone. And access is key, right, ladies?
That's right.
before
Man.
we go, I did get you a gift.
Really?
Yeah. Do you want it?
I was
it
hoping you would.
exposure? Is it exposure?
Do I have to lick it?
I don't know. You can.
Yes.
You certainly can lick it. I mean,
Show me
Here,
what you got
hold
me.
on.
All right.
I got you
I
a
know.
gift too.
Oh,
wow.
really? So many. I got a gift earlier
It's
too.
just a little something. You can go
Wow.
first.
Do we open them here? Okay. There's a card. So I'll start with the card. There's a card here.
My son
there's
would
there's
love that
nothing.
bag.
There's nothing in the card.
Well, this is, first of all, I don't know if you can, I'm going to move the card. No, keep
You
it on
seem
that
like
other shot.
a tractor guy. So.
There.
It says to and from. You didn't have the time to fill out who it was to and where it's from. So this is,
sorry.
you saved time. But you got the card and got the card
It was
tied
a-
on. I'm
So
not-
that
It was
it's
attached.
it's actually a gift not to write on that, so that you can use it
Yeah,
when
you
you
can
want
use
to.
the bag.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
I
welcome.
love paper.
Yes.
I love tissue. She knows because you can use it to clean up and not be exposed.
Exactly. It's kind of heavy.
More paper.
It's in the bottom.
More paper. Oh, wow. There's more paper. Here it is at the bottom. It's heavy?
Yeah, it's kind of heavy.
Oh, my God. Oh.
What is it?
So this is a fillet of fish tank.
Oh, I love it. Hold on.
So
Oh, you know what I thought it was? Get a close up of that.
What is that?
I thought it was a prolapse
it
in an aquarium. I
has
thought
multiple meanings.
but
I
it's
guess.
actually a fillet of fish.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wait.
See the fact that I just another proof that I don't know the difference between a cupcake, a prolapse.
I know,
I don't
yeah.
know the difference between a fillet, a fish.
It's hard sometimes.
It is.
It is, but this
Wait,
is where
how
did you
did
get
you make it? Did you
I
make it?
I made it. Yeah. It's
You're so handy.
it's just a lot of resin and fillet of fish sandwich.
It's beautiful.
What do you what do you feed it? This is going to
what's
be
the-
prominent on the desk from now on.
Yes.
You know, that's my favorite thing from McDonald's.
Mine too.
Fillet of fish tank?
Yeah. I always get it without cheese. I feel like fish and cheese is a weird.
That is
in a
weird.
place where you can see
Strange.
it good. That's good. I'm going to leave it there. It's going to always
Oh,
be
good. Okay,
You
Perfect.
should
great.
name it.
Name a
Yeah.
sandwich.
It's
You're very handy, and I
Oh,
should tell
thank
you
you.
that she's in the midst of building a prolapse. That's why I thought that was a prolapse.
Yeah. No, I'll arrange that.
Have
though.
you ever seen the prolapse? Mm-mm. You know,
Are you? Wait.
Oh.
Is this exposure therapy?
Is it?
Right now. Yeah, this is.
Wait.
Do you want to see a prolapse?
Yeah.
Sam, it might raise
You
your
know
heart
what it
rate.
is? You know what it is?
I love
you're
this
good.
video.
Oh, really?
It's
Oh,
from
yeah,
the
I've
H3
seen it.
podcast,
Oh, again, I've seen this so many
not
times.
with OCD.
Okay. Okay.
No, Rich is
Don't do
saying
it.
no.
They don't show it. We just show their reaction to it.
Too many people in here.
Okay, they said no.
Okay.
They could go behind the curtain.
Yeah, tell them to go behind the curtain.
Wait, maybe they don't even want.
they don't
maybe
even
it's
want it.
not. Maybe
All right.
it's not okay for.
All right. I'm not allowed to. Okay, and you have something.
And for you, there's no wrapping paper, so don't get too excited.
But he loves brown bags.
This is a bag.
And
with
it says you're perfect on it, Dad.
Yeah.
It says Curious from Hermosa Beach.
And you are.
Oh, you are perfect.
So this helped me with my OCD. There's
It's the anxiety relief coloring book
yes,
for adults.
it helps.
I have one of these, and
you?
I'm almost done.
They
Look
help.
at this.
Yeah, it
You
takes
spend hours. I love that.
good. And there's coloring pencils, and then also another little something, a little trinket for you.
Oh, Bob Ross, happy little tree mints. So while I'm coloring, my breath will smell like Bob Ross.
Exactly.
These are mints like Bob Ross.
Happy little tree mints, just for
This
you.
is amazing. This has been my favorite episode so far.
Good.
You got filet of fish tank and mints and coloring.
NOCD is the place to get well and the place to learn. Sam Temple is the brilliance behind the scenes at the H3 podcast.
If
and
you want-
Christy Quinn, where are you? You want to plug something?
Oh, my socials?
Whatever. You got some dates coming up?
I'm actually at the Ice House Saturday.
Okay.
And I have a few shows next week coming up at the Ice House again, the 28th. And my Instagram is Christy Quinn Comedy, and I'm also on YouTube.
Okay. And you do on YouTube, you do stand up or you do
I do like gaming stuff.
gaming?
Yeah.
What's your game?
Mario Super Sluggers.
I think that's Sonny. Are you a Mario guy?
Yeah, I am. Very
You
much
are?
so. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, you should challenge him.
I will, and I'll beat you too. Let's
No,
do
you
it.
won't. You won't.
Oh no.
Come on, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Can we show the prolapse after this, and I'll do behind the scenes? No. Yeah.
I guess the people from
do
NOCD are saying no.
It's okay. They
Did
don't
they
have,
say no?
My behind
Did
the
they
scenes.
say no?
Do it.
No, they haven't even seen it. They haven't. Even, they don't know
you
what they're
won't
saying
see
yes
it.
to.
You won't see
But
it.
they don't know what they're saying
We're
yes
showing.
to.
Well, it's as icky as licking the bottom of a shoe.
Why is Rich saying no?
Screen right here.
What?
It shows up on this big screen right here.
Yeah.
Are there kids in the room? Is that why you're saying that?
Yes.
A couple ladies in here.
Oh.
Well,
there's a
move
kid.
everybody.
There's a kid.
Everybody in that room who doesn't want to see something gross,
Or
move
who
out.
shouldn't see, who is under 18.
At the same time as this is playing, Sonny, and this is how we're going to go out on their reactions. At the same time as this is playing, I need you to play the Prolapse song. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to ask you to subscribe. I want to ask you to get NOCD, and we can cut between Sonny playing the Prolapse song and the reactions of the young ladies watching. You're going to
I
watch
love how
that screen right there.
we're so determined to play this.
It's
on
exposure therapy.
Yes.
This is the actual therapy happening in the room. I'm telling you, Steve, and this is terrible. Your son should not be in the room. You okay with this?
He watches lots of Family Guy and South Park.
No,
This is not even on
family.
the same
Not even
caliber.
close. Not even close.
Wait.
This is way worse.
Way worse.
So
way-
like
like-
a different part of the building.
This is something where I don't think there's an app where you get help for what this could do to you. But this is from Ethan Klein's. Sam brought this. This is her gift.
This is Sam's filet of fish
Yeah,
and
the
gift
prolapse.
that keeps
so
giving.
realize this is what she watches at work. Are you ready to play, Sonny?
We're good.
You're gonna play us off, and then we can go out on their faces and the song. All right, roll the tape, play the song.
Motherfucking prolapse. Prolapse.
Get a shot in there of Steve looking at it.
Motherfucking prolapse. Prolapse.
Get Steve's face.
Motherfucking prolapse. Prolapse.
Keep the kids away.
Just like a puppet. You know?
I don't know what shows your parents took you to.
Prolapse. Baby, 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 baby. Oh, baby, 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 baby.
Oh my God.
Hold me, shape me, rub me, masturbate me, inside out, come
Do we
on.
have have to keep playing it?
Enjoy me.
All right.
Money shot,
Oh my
honey
God.
pot. Friends till the end. We bend and we bend till our ends are blend. Yeah. I'll make you swoon like a motherfucking balloon. Bouncing around, floating through town. Oh, like a bumblebee. Releases these stinger ass out. Touch it with your finger, bowel ache. If your butt breaks, rectal earthquake upside down.